when we watch Tong here, okay, you know, sometimes the first things we go to are technical, but when I watch a skier, some of the things I look for are speed, rhythm, and performance. And Tong has some really nice, you know, the speed is relative for short turns. The rhythm is nice, and we see nice, smooth lateral movements in Tong skiing. All right, so the lateral movement from side to side, and then we see high, and we see low, and we see angulation. Right. So if I look at I see Tong here, and I see, you know, a nice curve around the body. Right. I see Tong move from here to over here. Right. So the body makes this sweeping turn across the hill. I see the center of mass here. It moves both up smoothly, and it moves down smoothly. So it's a coordinated movement pattern. Those are the things that I like about what Tong does. Okay, so watch for those again here. Okay, and so then we say Tong. Those are beautiful things. You've got the right thing. Now there's a couple of other aspects when I look at skiing, and I want you to think about skiing. I look at the upper body, and I go, is the skier going is facing where they're going? So at any point in time, if they were released from the arc, if the ski's released, so if Tong skis let go right now, her upper body would come directly towards us. So that's what I mean by that, right? So if Tong skis released, she would come directly towards us this way. So she's facing where she's supposed to be, where she's going. The skis, because they're on edge and because they have grip, they take her in this direction. Okay, so we see that difference. See this difference, and that's that separation that we see in skiing. And sometimes in bigger turns, we don't see much of that, or sometimes we see the upper body leading it. So this is a really, you know, is a nice picture. Now, so that's one thing. So I see, is the body facing where it's going? Okay. You know, the second thing I always look for is kind of balance on the right time on the right part of the foot. So if I look, and it's always the outside foot. So I'm always looking at this foot here. Okay. And then if I look at her balance, if I take that center of mass and I look where the weight is going, okay, I draw a line down here. And I'm pretty precise with that arrow. And what I see is her weight is forward. And this is at the end of the turn. She has to prepare for the crossover, to bend the legs, to make a smooth transition from one turn to the next. The weight has to move to the back of the arch of the foot, just in front of the heel pad. And in that position, I can then absorb some of the pressure and the control. And then the body will move up, not a lot, but it will move up, and the center of mass will cross over and the feet will cross under, right? Okay, so if you want to see what happens to this, you know, the knees and everything, you know, there's the crosses in the middle, but there's this unified movement this way. And it comes from precise balance and the ability to absorb those pressures. So a couple of things here too. When I look at balance, then I look at two things. I look at parallel legs. Okay, so I'm going to clear this. I look at parallel legs. So I look at the leg, and the leg should be, each leg should be straight. Okay, so if I look at the inside leg is straight, and that leg has it should be straight because you want the bone structure, the skeletal structure, to line up. And if the bones are not lined up, then there's a force at the knee. But if they're lined up straight and the force acts straight down the bones, it can handle a lot of pressure. If I look at her outside leg, I see it goes to the knee here, and then there's another bend here. Okay, and what I see is that Tong is pushing the knee into her other leg, right? Now, what happens is when a couple of things happen. Sometimes there's this misconception that as skiers we need to edge with the knee. The knee only bends forward and aft. The knee doesn't bend in. It's not a joint that is a ball and can move. Right? It can tighten so it doesn't wiggle back and forth. Sometimes if it's loose, it wiggles a little bit. So we use the muscles around it to tighten. But if I drive it in, a couple of things happen. The weight, and then this goes back to balance. The weight goes forward. Weight goes forward on the ski to that point there, right? So it's a little bit forward. The tail, if I get into bad snow, the tail can slide out this way, right? The tail could slide out this way because the pressure is forward on the ski, right? So what I would prefer is parallel legs like that, okay, with no knee action. You can see here the legs get wider, so I want from here like that. So ideally that's what I'm looking for. So Tong, what I want you to see is, you know, I see the hip is nicely in. That's really good. But we just want to relax that leg, and we want to have equal space between the legs, and we want to have the weight more forward. So what I'm trying to show you is what I look at. You know, I could say that a lot quicker, but I'm just trying to point it out on the picture here. Okay. Here we go. Let's watch this again. Okay, so you can see right with the weight here, and really we want the feet side by side. We can see this gap in here, right? And then there's a twisting force with the arm to come around. Right, so this arm and everything kind of comes around like that. And then what happens is the body starts going this way, and the body starts facing where we're going to go versus where I'm going to go. The body, we're actually going this way, but now the body starts to follow through a little bit more. And this all stems from kind of where the feet are and what the legs are doing. Okay, so if I'm going to give you a comment, I'm going to say at the end of the turn, try to feel weight a little bit more to the back of the arch. Try to have parallel legs, and try not to twist the knee to move in. Okay. Now let's see if we can look at that in see if you can watch this in full speed, just from the beginning. So I see the white gap at the beginning of the turn a little bit. So I'm being pretty picky because it's still nice. It's nice skiing to watch, isn't it? Okay, let's find another one. Oh, Tong in moguls. Okay, can everybody see this?
No, Otto. I guess you need to press the share screen, the green button again, and select
okay.
the window.
Right. Okay, here we go. Now can we see this?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lynn. I know exactly where this is. This is my favorite piece at Wayne Long. It's my favorite little bump run at Wayne Long, and just under the lift there. Beautiful bumps. And what I like about these moguls is they're not zipper line moguls. And they're round. And so this gives the skier a lot of opportunity to choose the pathway that they like to choose. And it's always backlit. So sun's not in your eyes when you're skiing this. All right, here we go, Tom. Okay, so you know, kind of using that checklist that I had there when I watch the skier. You know, I start at the skis, and then I watch where the feet are, where the balance is on the feet. So the critical thing is that at the end of the turn, which is where Tong is I want to see, you know, do I have weight? Where's the weight? And if I look, the weight is quite forward here. And then what happens is the tail of the ski starts to slide around. The tail starts to move away. You know, goes downhill. The tail of the ski goes downhill. And then what it forces Tong you to do is it starts to force you to face across the hill. In moguls, if you want to ski fall line moguls, essentially we're taking a short turn and we're overlaying it in a variety of terrain. So rule number one is I got to face where I'm going to go. And in moguls, it's straight down the hill. So I have to face straight down the hill. Okay? Because the quickest thing I can do is I can turn my legs. And if I turn my legs and if I keep my weight kind of, if this is the arch of my foot, I want to keep my weight at the end of the turn towards the back here, especially the back half of the turn, because that's the pivot point where my leg turns on. And when I turn there, I can turn my legs left or right, side to side, very quickly. I can do it slowly, I can do it quickly. And I time that movement as I come into the bump and as I go over the top of the bump. Okay, so let's watch. Watch the foot at the end of the turn, how it goes away. Watch how the body turns from side to side. Okay, so because the weight, let me do this again here. Because the weight is so far forward, the skis turn out and the body faces across the hill. The upper body weighs a lot, and it's hard to get the body to turn and to go back again. So then it's hard to make kind of one quick turn after another. When the terrain gets a little bit easier down here, these last turns, you start facing more down the hill. So, and this is very typical when we're, where you see the shadows further up, it's steeper. And then right here, this is quite steep where she first starts. And this is where we start to feel uncomfortable. Then I tend to push forward a little bit and move forward. And again, I try to get edging via if I'm on the ball of the foot, I try to get the knee and drive the knee in, but it takes too long. Now here, again, see how the body moves quickly, because it's facing straight down the hill. Okay, so Tong, the last part of that run is good. And it's the same feeling you want to try to get to the top. And if you can turn your legs parallel to one another and quickly like this, and it's in moguls, it's never carving. Okay, because if I try to put the ski on edge too much, the radius of that arc is too long and you'll go too fast, right? Okay. Any questions there? Let's go.
有什么问题？嗨彤
No, yeah. Thank you very much, Otto. Yeah, it's really good advice.
It's good. It's good skiing. I mean, it would be a lot better if I could be there with you on that hill. I love that slope. That's wonderful to ski that one. Every time you go down there, it's, you go a little bit left or you go a little bit right, and it gives you a variety. Sometimes I have to make quicker turns. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. So it's a really nice, interesting challenge, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna look at Ray.
I have to say, Otto, you are so picky. I saw Tom such a great skier, and you still can find, the flaws in it.
Oh, hey, if I look at myself, I'm, that's, I am picky. It's my job.
Yeah, for everybody, you may know that Otto is actually mark those interski skiers. So whoever representing Canada to, interski, Mark is, Otto is actually one of the judge, right? So
Yeah, I didn't do it this year, but I've done it many times, and many level 4 exams with the years. But here, and I want to tell everybody, sometimes it does seem picky. I'm trying to do two things here for you. One, help you with your skiing, and it's a little bit hard. Hopefully you're taking some notes. The other thing is, I want to help your eye so that you see things that I see. And that maybe when you're looking at your skiing or you're helping each other, you start to see skiing and you start to understand it better. And that's part of this process as well, right? It's to help you get better at seeing those things. Let's go on to Ray. Okay, come on, how come you're not showing up here? No. So share screen. Where are you? How come you're not?
here we go.
Okay. There we go. Okay, got it now. I think I've got it. Oh, Ray, I think we might have looked at this one last week. Okay. So I think we looked at this last week, and I'm not going to spend much time on it again, but if we look at the rhythm, right? If I look at the rhythm, I think I gave you some pointers last week. And it's quite long and flat. Is your breaking up like mine's breaking up a little bit? Okay, let's. I'm gonna move on because I looked at that one last week. Sorry. Okay. Who is this? This is again. Let's look at the kind of rhythm here. Do we know who this is, Lynn?
I have no clue. Tom, do you know who is this guy? Long.
张龙吧。
张龙.
She's level 3 of Australia.
Okay.
Hello, Australia. Okay, so again, if I go from oppression, this is more of a medium large size turn, and even when we have a bigger turn, that doesn't mean that we're not doing anything. A bigger turn means we still have some rhythm. It's a longer rhythm, but there should be rhythm. There's more speed to it. There still should be should be coordinated movements. So we're always moving, but it's in coordination with the time that we're moving. So when I look at a skier, I see some really nice rhythm. Okay. Now, one thing we have to be careful of when we ski a big turn is we can with the ski technology that we have today, a lot of the skis that we're skiing on, tend to be, on the low side, 12 to 14 meters, on the upper side, 16 to 18 meter skis. And this then becomes the size of the turn that we ski. And what happens is I can just drive my knee in, put the ski over on edge, and the ski will do the work for me. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm right, but then I become inactive. And then what happens is I have a long radius turn. And this starts to happen here a little bit, okay? So right here, right in the middle part of this turn, if I look at the skier right here, there's one end, and we can see that there's not a lot of motion. There's just kind of a turning, okay? And it's a turning with the upper body, okay? And so if I look at the hands, okay, so the video is taken from the side of the run, okay? And this is something I said before, is, the skis are going in this direction, okay? And the body is facing in this direction, okay? Over to the side. Where the skier, at this point, they're releasing the turn. Where the skier is going to go is this direction, right? Towards the camera. So the body should be facing towards us, right? If not, if the body now at the end of the turn is facing the side of the run, that means the body has to make this extra turn, okay? The body has to make an extra turn. So the body has to turn like this. The body should always be facing where it's going to go, right? Where it's going to go, not where it's going. Right now, it's going over here, but it's going to go over here, okay? So it's going here, it's gonna go over there. So you've got to not mix the two up. The body here is leading the turning effort, okay? So if I just as a side here, watch, and so outside hand here, the left hand, now the right hand, and the left hand, and I can see the hand is driving and turning more than the lower body, right? So the hand, and then the shoulder, and then I can see show you something else here, just another little. Okay, right here, these are little things that I notice. Right here, you can see the jacket. There's a wrinkle in the jacket, and so there's a there's a twist in the spine, and really the body is now facing this direction, and the body should be facing this direction. And since the hips are sitting on the skis, I can't turn my hips faster than I turn my legs much. So there's a turn in the spine, and when there's a turn in the spine, there becomes a wrinkle in the coat. There's a wrinkle in the coat here. Okay. So let's see if you can see that again. You can see it on both sides. You see the wrinkle in the coat. Okay. And this is a direct cause of the upper body leading the turning effort. Okay. So if I look at the inside hand falls, and the outside hand turns like this, and the inside hand drops, and then it goes back the other way. Okay. So there's a lot of swaying, a lot of moving. We don't need that movement. The upper body is like the car. The car just sits on the wheels. The wheels are the skis, and the skis do all the turning. Okay. Now, if I'm going to say, and when we see skiing, a lot of the action is the same. But I look at, if I take the hip, I go here, right? And the weight comes down here forward on the ski. And I look at the snow here. So see the snow at the front of the ski, how much the snow is coming off the front of the ski, quite heavily. It means there's a lot of pressure on it. I look at where this foot is, front of this foot, and the front of this foot, and it's a sizable space. The feet should be more side by side. So if one foot is here, the other foot it's narrow. And it's only narrow because one foot is up, not because I'm leaning or I'm turning. Okay. And then I look at this hand. Okay. So this hand is driven this way, and that's the outside hand. In this case, it's the left hand. And then I look at the other hand back over here. Okay. And it's getting dropped in. So this shoulder has turning. A lot of that stems from the feet. So if you can lift the inside hand and pull the inside hand here, have be a little bit more level, face where you're going, not where I'm going to go. You know where you're going to go. You just have to be patient. The skis will take you there. Does that make sense? So starts with the feet side by side. Let the feet turn, feel the weight more, start of the turn behind the ball of the foot, move it back to the heel, and let the feet do the turning like this, and not the upper body doing the turning. Okay. Let's see. Let's see this one here. So we have a bigger turn here, same person. Let me show you something right here. Okay. And oops, right here. Okay. Now, we got bigger turns here, and I'm just gonna kind of try to emphasize my point about where the feet are. Okay. one thing when you're watching skiing, you have to watch what the snow conditions are doing. So the snow conditions are not consistent on this run; they are varied. And when we're a skier, we always have to use our eyes, and we're adjusting constantly our balance point to the snow. And the skier is running into some soft snow, and I can see the spray on that snow. And what soft snow does is it slows the feet down, right? And it slows them down substantially. So if you're a bit forward, then you're going to be really far forward, and then it kind of makes a little bobble in the snow. And that's what happens on this corner here, and you can see the snow. So I want you to look for this again. And I'm only showing you this because this is an indicator, right? It's not the problem. The snow is not the problem, but it magnifies or says, hey, the skier is maybe a little bit off balance to the front. Okay, so just watch this again. Except watch that one corner. Here we go. Okay, so right in this corner here, and you'll see the shoulders and everything kind of drop forward a little bit because the feet slow down. Okay. Oh, we've got some short turns there, but let's go back to those bigger turns. And I'm not going to dwell too long on this one because there's other skiers here. Okay, so to emphasize my point, when I look at where the feet are, right? I've got the center of mass here, and I've got the weight. I've got this one foot here, and I've got this other foot there. So you can see how the inside foot is substantially ahead of the outside foot, right? So I've got this ski here and this ski here. So that tells you that I've got a really, really big stance. And as such, my weight goes on the inside ski, and it's really hard to turn my leg. So the body starts to come around, and we can see, again, results of that, where this hand gets dropped in and this hand starts to pull around, and then the body comes. So ideally, if we have our legs side by side or parallel, and then we can let the hips go in. Okay, does that make sense? Again, being technical, some good rhythm. Just as a point of I know a lot of you are thinking, okay, if I look at this body looks rather upright here, okay? And it goes, oh, this person is leaning back. They're not leaning back. They're actually inside of the turn. There's a straight angle here like this, right? But if I look at this foot, right, they're leaning in, and this foot is so far back. This foot is in front, right? But this foot is coming towards me here, and this foot is going like this. Okay, and that's an indication, again, of how the body is leaning the turning effort like this. So the body is already turned and the feet aren't turned. So the body is going where we're going to go, but really where we're going right now, where we're going is towards us. Okay, we're gonna go in this direction, but right now the body is facing in that direction. So what we want to try to do is be patient and get the feet to turn. If you follow me there, all those lines are crazy, I know. Okay. And then what happens is there's a bit of a pause in between. So this is much nicer. If I look at, if we look at the skiing here, and this is what happens in the short turn. This is a beautiful shot, okay? So now
Good boy.
A couple of things. Let's draw some good stuff here. Okay. The legs are parallel, right? The legs are parallel. The feet are facing over here, and they're parallel. And the body is coming straight down the hill. All right. And the hands are nice and level. Okay. So right at this moment in time, this is a really, really nice picture. Okay. Right. See that? That's exactly what we want to do. Now, going to be picky. Maybe the body can be a little bit more, shoulders can be a little bit more rounded and a little bit more athletic, but that's the next step. Okay. Good job. Okay. Now, not every turn is like that last one we see. So if I look at the legs, okay, not quite parallel. Okay, so I can see that by the tips, right, there's quite a space in here, which means the outside foot is well behind, and the weight, the pressure on that outside ski is well above. It's near the toes of the foot, right? So it's quite early in there. And then I look at how this hand has started to come across, and what that does is twist the body. So when I look at this, the body now, the legs are going, they're still going this way, but the body is now going this way, where we would like to have in a fall line short turn, the body comes straight towards us here. See that? So you can see the movement of the arms, and then right here at the end, right? Okay, there's moments where it's great. So we got to push the inside hand ahead. We push the inside hand ahead, and we turn the feet a little bit. Okay, so I take my right arm and I take my left foot and I twist my leg like that so that my body faces down the hill. And that's minor in a big turn, and it has to be major in a short turn. Okay, let's see what I can do here. Sorry, I just have to get, uh-oh.
Sun life.
Yeah, I don't know why things pop up here, but I am trying to. I think, let's go to this one here. Come on. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So this is David.
This is David. Okay. This looks like it's a way long as well. Okay, so look at a long turn. And I'm just going to ask David a couple questions. You know, is the body facing where he's going, or is the body facing where he's going to go? You know, and sometimes these are the questions you can ask skiers. Is the weight on the outside ski? Is it at the ball of the foot, or is it at the back of the arch at the end of the turn? Okay, you know, and these are questions you can ask you. Is the smooth transition from one turn to the next? Is it rhythmical, or does sometimes it take a long time? Okay. So if I look here, okay, we're coming to the end of the turn here. Okay. Okay, and then so we went from over here to the skier over here. Okay. Now, if I look, this is a good thing. I see the legs are bent, okay, and we need to bend them to make a transition. If I look at where the weight is, okay, it gets a bit forward here, and it would be nice if these two legs were of the same angle, and I can see that there's the outside leg is slightly back. Okay, and then that, and the slightly back, and the upper body's leading twisting. That's why the hand kind of gets caught in there, is because the weight starts to get on the back of the ski. Okay, so the body's going here, and the skis are going here. Okay, and we have that hand, inside hand is dropped down, and the outside hand has come across. It's nicer if the shoulders are level and facing this way, right? So the upper body should face across the line of where the skis are, because that's where I'm going, right? I'm going to go at this point over this way, and then it causes a lot of the weight. You can see the snow on the inside ski a lot. I can see a lot of snow right in here. So I don't have as much pressure on the outside ski here as I want, because the inside ski is picking up a lot of snow. So again, the weight is a bit far forward, and as it's far forward, sometimes the knee and the shoulder start to drive and turn. Okay, now I think one more here. Okay, and we're looking at this skier. Okay, the first impression, you know, I can look at the technical things, but I want to say, okay, what does the rhythm look like? The movement and the rhythm. Okay, do I see kind of holding? Do I see different leg lengths? Okay. So just a lot of the same things, but kind of sometimes in a different order. I look at, you know, the body is turning here, coming this way. If I can have the body facing more down the hill, the hip can come in a little bit more, and then the edge angle is minimal. I want the edge angle to be a little bit more tipped. I want the skis to instead of being flat like this. I want them to tip over like this, and then they're going to get some grip on the snow and they're going to take me away. And then if I can make those movements rhythmical, so I see sometimes the way I would talk to skiers, try to move the hips up and down a little bit, because if I move them down, not only do they move down, but they move inside, and then the skis get a bit of grip. But ultimately, instead of making a pathway that looks like this, let's try a pathway that looks like this. Right, so let's put in 2 or 3 times the amount of turns to get down the hill. So there would be the goal that I would achieve. And in this turn here, I'm trying to eliminate this and get this turn to go right away. Eliminate this. So it goes quick, 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 quick. Okay, now I'm gonna get stressed here. We're gonna get Lewis here. How are you, Lewis? Lewis, ski cat.
How are
You've been
you?
waiting.
Otto?
I'm good. I'm
Being
good.
here.
Lewis is skiing really well these days. Okay, so first impression, let's just take a look at the rhythm, right? And we look at the last skier. This is a short turn, but this is isn't this nice skiing? Huh?
Thank you.
Huh? You've come a long way. All right. That's level 4. That's level 4 short turns. No problem. Okay.
Thank you.
You know, you're on perfect snow conditions. Where are you skiing? Wanlong?
Wanlong, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, nice. All right. So look at again, right? So a couple of things we talk about. Are the legs parallel? Are the feet side by side? Is the body facing where he's going, straight down the hill all the time? You know, we can see that the hands are level a little bit, right? Okay. And is it rhythmical and exciting skiing? Absolutely, right? So, you know, so nice. And I know that you train so much. You train on your skiing and you train physically to be super fit. And that all helps you. Okay, now, a couple things right in there. Do you notice, Lewis, right in here, body gets pushed forward a little bit. Yeah. And there's a reason why that happens, okay? Right. A couple turns right here in a row. Let me just go back here. Okay, so right here. And one of the things that you know, you're in the shade. Okay, so I can see the sun here is putting some light on the snow on these ridges, right? And then where your feet are, it's shady. And what happens is sometimes it's hard to read the depth of the snow, and there looks like there's a little bit of a rise in this run, and where you're skiing is a hollow and you're coming up onto a bit of a rise. And what that does is that slows your feet down relative to what your upper body is doing. Okay. And so now this is minor, but you're at the level that you're skiing at, you need to be very, very, very precise. Okay, and so you need to see those little things. And I'm not saying this is your fault. I'm saying this is what's happened. Okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes things happen. You are skiing for a certain snow surface, a certain condition, and a certain light condition that allows you to perform at your level. But what's happening is when you can't see and the surface changes, and I use the same stance, something happens, and then my skis don't react the same way. So you know, and a lot of it is very similar to what we talked about, right? So I'm gonna talk about, you know, you're a disciplined skier, and you know, I watched you ski and I worked with you before, and you are precise about things. So if I look at parallel leg action here, right? Okay, see how it's off a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, it's off just it's off a hair, and then you see this little white gap in here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I see, and this is all part of the same thing. I see this, and I see this. So on the lower leg, this arrow to this arrow is wider up here than it is here, right?
Yeah.
So the knee is stuck in a little bit, right? Then this hand is low, and this hand is high, right? Because right now your right foot here gets stuck behind this foot. It doesn't turn as easy, and then it causes the body to turn a little bit. But because the feet is also behind the center of mass, right? Because it's behind the center of mass a little bit, the legs don't bend. So the ankle joint and the knee joint and the hip joint don't work together. The only joint that's going to work right now is the hip joint. And as I move you through here, okay, the body gets thrown forward, and then the skis react and they come out the other side really quick. Okay. Okay, can't finally get it here, right there. Okay. So, and just, I'm really, you know, like Lynn says, I'm being pretty picky here, right? So you see here that the skis had to squirt through real quick. Okay, either way they get stuck, or you push them through, and then they're not on the ground anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Just for a second. Okay. So this, I don't think this is so much as you, as there's a really small change in the snow, right? I can see this rise up here with the suns on it, and then in here it looks like a bit of a hollow, and then this looks like it's a bit of a rise. And so if I say this something for you, this is more experience in adapting. This is terrain adaptation, like we adapt in a mogul field, right?
Yeah.
The level of expertise and the precision that you're trying to get out of your skiing, your next step is to read these small different situations and then say to myself, hey, there's something there. I have to adapt to that. And that's all this is. Okay. So this isn't so much your technique as you didn't adjust to those minor changes. And when you're skiing, understand those minor changes, because if you go into a competition, a technical competition, and this happens, the difference between maybe a first place and a second place is that somebody adapted to it, somebody saw those changes and adapted to it, and somebody missed one or two of them. And that's all. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So nice work. Okay, so you'll see a couple of times where you kind of bobble forward and the feet kind of catch. The feet slow down and the body keeps going forward, right? And you'll notice that sometimes the inside hand drops down. When you're skiing, notice these small subtleties and ask yourself, why did that happen? What did I miss in the snow conditions or the terrain? And at this level of performance, the small subtleties that make those small little differences. Okay, something else I noticed. This is just for yourself. Like when we make a right turn and a left turn, we want them to be symmetrical. But what happens is on this side, this hand kind of comes up and high. All right. Okay. So it's always the same, just a little bit. You want to keep it like this hand's here. It's going to come up for the pole plant. Sometimes your pole plants are here. They might, sometimes they're here. You might want them to be a little bit further out here. Reach for it. What size poles are you on? What's the length of your pole?
116. 106 centimeters.
106.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna watch this again. Watch that side, how it comes up, and watch where your pole plant is. Okay. So left side. See how the left side comes in a little bit more, right side, especially down here a little bit more.
Yeah. This situation is more in the mogul. It's very
it shows
different.
a little
the
bit
left
here.
side and the right side is very different.
Yeah, it's not much. It's really minor. But on both sides, plant your pole. See that pole plant's a little bit late, right?
Yeah, this side is more better.
See here? Yeah, it's better, but it should be about another like it should be out here. It should be here.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be about here. Okay. Let's go here. See, this looks like it's starting to come out. Okay, so it should be like you're coming straight at me. It should be here.
Okay.
Okay. See here? It's back by your feet, right? It doesn't ever touch further out. So you're going to have to bend just a little bit at the weight and push forward. Okay. All right.
Okay.
And when I look at this too, to do that, right? When you plant your pole there, see how this foot just lags a little bit. Sorry, let's. This foot, the pressure is a bit forward on it. Here. Okay. We want to take this here, and this should be parallel, right? So you're a bit far forward. So if I can move that foot ahead just a little bit, so that I'm going to get the weight more there. Okay. Right. Okay. And that's in combination with that pole plant. At the same time, this hand, right, moves forward too. So when I pole plant with one, I don't let my other one drop. I go with both. So when you're reaching with when you're reaching with the left, reach with the right. Okay.
Okay.
Now, when all these little things that I'm talking about, Lewis, write them down and think of just one thing each run, and then kind of, or half a run, and just build on them to put them together, because they're minor. And if you do one, you might forget about the other, but then just kind of add them and layer them on.
Yes.
Okay. It's great skiing, everybody. Like Lewis is if you get a chance to follow him, you follow him. Okay.
This run is a long turn.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's hey, now if we're watching Lewis, this is big. How come I'm not there with you skiing? I love that. I love that run. That's beautiful, right? That's good and consistent. Remember, I said, you know, what was our intention of the run? And if somebody looked down from a chairlift at us, how do we want to ski? And if I look at Lewis, and if you remember the short turns, they're quick and there's a lot of rhythm. And if I look at the long turns, there's rhythm, and he's going down the hill and he's making those turns, and there's energy, and there's not a long transition, right? So here he gets a bit of speed up, he takes the speed and he moves up, right? Next turn, down, okay?
Yes. I release very quick, I think.
Pardon?
Every turn I release, I try to make my transition very quick.
Right.
Apex coming and release very quick.
Right. So basically you're going from edge to edge, and that's expert skiing, right? That's expert skiing.
Yeah, that's my goal. This year, always to get my goal. That's my goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here at the you know, just after the transition, look, he goes one edge here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we look next edge, flat, next edge. Okay. Now he's turning the skis, and his skis are coming, his skis are starting to turn, right? But his body is still facing where he's going to go, right? So his skis are eventually going to come around this way, right? But he's patient. And what we have is to start the turn, we have inclination. So we just lean over and we put the weight on that outside ski. What will happen as he progresses through the turn is that we're going to slowly get angulation. Okay, so
Yeah.
we see that hip move in a little bit. All right, and this is good for everybody just to watch that. Okay, so here we go. All right, I'm just gonna do it myself. So here, oh, there goes the hip, goes in. All right. Okay. Now look, he's in low, and he's starting to release the turn. So he's starting to come up. Now, a couple of things. So there, look at how the legs are bending, right? The feet go under the body. The body goes over top. Legs, feet side by side, right? Lewis, everybody, feet side by side. Look at where the hands are, right? That's a good athletic position. And then right away into that next edge, inclination, and then angulation. Okay. Now yeah, right over with the hip. That's really nice. Okay. And then look, bending again, feet side by side. Oh, look at that, nice and tall. He's reaching, and then inside again. Okay. So beautiful picture. Beautiful picture. Now, time for me to go to work. Now it's only a little bit on the timing of how you move your feet to get to that transition, Lewis. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So again, right, we see this leg here, and we see this leg here. Okay. It's the outside leg is slightly behind a little bit. You make up for it by moving it quickly, and that's okay. At times, it may cause you problems. So what I would think about is back up here. You know, you make a turn like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're moving the feet really late. I would think up here, this is where you start to say, hey, I'm going to have to move my feet to catch myself and go under, so that at this point, your legs are more parallel, more side by side. But you think about that movement earlier because it takes time to move it. Okay?
Mhm.
All right. And this is just kind of this is taking your skiing, you know, from an 8 to a 9. If I'm going to go back in this turn just a hair. Okay, so when our foot gets back a little bit, all right, as it does, and this is the last third of the turn. If your foot gets back, you can't turn the leg to finish the turn off. It's hard because the ski is on edge and it's hard to turn it. It turns again from that point here. Then the upper body starts to turn. So this this part of the body wants to, I have to turn this part, and this hand has to turn a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is, again, this is just me being me, but you see how that arm comes through, right? That outside arm kind of twists, right? This this arm here, right, is kind of pulling this way a little bit when they should just be level. This one, they'll be a bit more on an angle like this, but this hand can be here, and it's that pole plant again, like we did in the short turns. Okay, follow me?
Yes.
That makes sense? Pretty minor.
Yeah.
Like I said, pretty minor. Right, and you can see it both sides. Sometimes that foot gets a little bit back. So think about that a little bit sooner, right? Think about just the inside hand and just dropping and being patient and just making that little bit softer before you make that transition of getting the feet side by side.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
But hey, you know what? This I'm gonna end on this one here, because I think this is, you know, this is a really nice skiing. You've got parallel edge angle. You're coming down the hill. You've got rhythm, right? You move in. You've got nice. You incline and you angulate, and for the most part, you know, the body is facing where you're going, not where you're going to go. You know, you're not where you're going to go. It's you're patient and you're waiting. You know, so that's nice skiing, Lewis. Nice skiing. We better watch that one more time, right?
Thank you, Otto.
Yeah, you know, I always thought you were a nice skier, and you're getting better and better all the time.
Yeah, this year's I almost spent more than 300 days on the slope every year.
Oh yeah, you go to New Zealand?
No, just in Rongchuang, inside snow resorts.
Oh yeah,
Inside.
yeah. Inside. Yeah. Okay, good.
And in the winter, always in Wanlong.
Right. Is Wenlong going to open up soon?
Maybe they said in the 15th of the March.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I could be there.
Yeah. Yes. Just depends on COVID-19.
Yeah. I think that's some of the challenges there. Okay.
Thanks very much, Otto. I know in Canada you get up so early, so
yeah. No worries.
thank you very much.
No worries. I'm happy to do this. It's great. Thanks everybody for showing up.
Yeah, so any questions from the floor? Okay, so while you're still thinking about the questions, Otto, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually talking about the ankle movement. I was actually skiing at Blue Mountain, and I was picked up by a good skier on the slope, and he was trying to teach me. You know, I'm always a teacher's pet, and yeah, someone was trying to teach me. And he's a
Right.
great skier. He's skiing. He's doing those ski ballet most of his life, and he gave me the comment saying that my ski boots was too tight. That actually limit my ability of moving my ankle back and forth. Just like this is my feet, this is my
Yeah.
leg, and I wasn't able to do it that way. So he said that by doing so, the movement of my ankles was limited, so that I wouldn't able to produce dynamic and performance turn. But that just seems contrary to my understanding, because I feel that the ankle is actually doing all those edging stuff, right?
Mhm. Yeah, contrary to popular belief, like one of the challenges we have as skiers is we put our feet in the boot, and the boot is the boot does two things. One, it transmits how we move, those movement patterns from our body to the ski, and that controls what the ski does and where we want to go and the performance we want. The other thing the ski boot does is it takes the information from the ski and from skiing and gives it back to us, so that we can process that information and say, hey, I'm too far forward, or the terrain is bumpy, or I'm slipping. Right. So it's two-way. In our body, if this pen is my body, the ankle is at the bottom of it. And if I make a small movement in the ankle, it's a big movement up top, right? But it's also the minor adjustments. I can have bigger, grosser movements at the knees, but the ankle is the one that will allow us to control finally the balance, control finally the little bit of edging at the end, like the hip and the body move, and we get big edging movements, but the ankle could do just a little bit like this. Or I can move forward and aft with the knee and hip joint, but the ankle will make that subtle movements. And when I talk to Lewis, a lot of the movement is from the ankle. It's a little bit of the knee, but the ankle needs to straighten and move through. And yes, boots can be too stiff. The way the boot is designed is we have there's two parts to the boot. There's the bottom shell of the boot, and that boot comes part way up, and then there's the upper cuff that goes around it. And when we tighten, basically that's two cylinders, and when we tighten two cylinders together, there becomes the boot becomes stiffer. So it's like this pen. If I have this cap and I put this in loosely, I have a bit of movement, but when I push it in hard, I have no movement. Okay, so when I tighten those two cylinders together, it becomes very, very stiff, and that's what happens in ski boots sometimes. So we have we have different flexibility, in the plastics of the boot, and these are rated as 100, 110, 115, 120, 125. Those are the how boots are rated in flex. But people don't realize that I take these two cylinders, inner boot and outer boot, and I put them together, and I can make the boot stiffer or less. So personally, I use a foam liner. I get a foam injected liner, and what it does is it allows my foot hardly any movement. But if I don't do it up too tight, I still can make the movements, but I still have the ability for the ankle to bend and move forward. And I'm quite tall and I have quite the leverage on it, and you're a little bit shorter and you're also lighter. So sometimes we fight to get we pressure the boot a lot. We buckle it down tight so that my boot doesn't move much. But we want control, so we tighten it really tight. But then that limits that movement. So it's finding that right balance between comfort and control and flexibility of the boot. So that's probably what he's talking about. And maybe it is true. So you might just try, one less of the buckle, or sometimes the buckles have little micro adjustments on it. You might unwind them a couple of times and just see what it is. Try skiing with them a little bit looser. Maybe the bottom around your foot is tight, but the upper cuff is just a little bit looser, right? And this is the thing, as you become a better skier, you start experimenting with these things and you start seeing what the outcome is, because nobody can tell you what you're feeling. Only you can know what you're feeling. And as you gain experiences, you can say, if I do this, I get a better result. And what a teacher does is guide you with your options. And then you have to say, well, this one works better. And then I look at my eyes and go, yeah, that works better. Or no, that didn't. So together we can kind of find the pathway. But the better skiers, like I'm really, really picky. You can see my eyes, but I'm picky with my equipment. I'm picky with my ski boots, how they're set up, how they work. If I get a new pair of boots and a new liner, it takes me sometimes 2 or 3 months to get them just to fit the way I want them to fit, right? Or I'm same with my skis. So you as you become better, you start playing with those things and then determining them. Does that help?
Yeah, I was trying to digest it, because in the past I was looking for the perfection. That means that I want, the feet, the boots actually can, being in a perfect position. But what I understand is that if it's too tight, I couldn't bend the ankle joint, same level as
Absolutely.
yeah, bend in the knees or hips. That actually create less flexibilities or less athletic stance. So I was trying to digest it and see how I'm going to incorporate into my skiing.
Yeah, imagine if you played tennis and you couldn't move your ankle, right? Or you go running. So we don't, in skiing, we don't need to move our ankle as much as we do in kind of a court sport or running. But we do need to move it. And so you need to find that right balance and play with it. That's the fun of skiing. It's not right or wrong. It's what's better, what works for me. And ultimately, as you gain experience, you will find those things.
Yeah. And there's another interesting finding I found something that we lost in translation. When we said about lower and upper body separation, we actually, means hip joints. But in Chinese, when we say bend over, it's actually, in Chinese, we said 弯腰 means bend over your waist. So sometimes, we got a confusion about where is the, the separation of upper and lower body. So if we just simply translate in Chinese saying bend over, most of Chinese will translate into 弯腰, means that in the waist. That is where we found in long skiing. You mentioned that it seems that he's turning with his waist instead of,
Right. So the way the body is, there's the hips and the top of the femur. It has it's actually a bit bent like this, and it comes into the hip socket, and that's a ball joint, and that turns. Okay. The knee is like this. The knee doesn't do this. The knee does this. Okay. And if I try to push the knee in, the knee twists in, right? So the knee doesn't go in. The knee, if I push the knee in, it has to twist, and it's the ankle joint and it's the hip joint that turn to allow the knee to go in. And when that happens, the hip goes out. So it's counterproductive, right? So those are kind of the small things that happen.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of skiers do have knee problem. I believe it was because they were trying to, ungulate with a little bit twist of the knees. That's create
Yeah.
a problem, right?
Yeah, there's I mean, sometimes we hear it from people that are not versed in ski teaching, and they say, oh, drive the knee in or push the knee in to get some edging. Well, it does work up to a certain point. Okay, and that's with skiing. There's a lot of things that work, but if you had a good skier like Lewis that drove his knee in, specifically to work, he wouldn't see, the transition would be too long and he would cut across. He wouldn't be as good a skier. So sometimes we do some things, and I don't say it's, driving the knee in is not wrong. It works, but everything has a consequence to its actions. And what we want to do is we want to make the best movement that has the best consequences to it. Okay. And that's what a good teacher tries to drive you in that way. But sometimes we have to, as a skier, we have to experiment with a movement pattern that doesn't have good consequences, so that we understand what's better and what's not so good. Right. And so that when I'm skiing down a run, I can say, oh, that movement pattern wasn't as good. I got to go back to this movement pattern. Right. And that's part and parcel to the learning is I feel that good movement sometimes, or some days, and some days I don't feel it. And then over time, I start to build, and I start to get a series of movement patterns that is better and better. And I become a better skier. And that's how it goes. It's not about making mistakes. It's about making better movements than the ones that you make, because the ones you make aren't wrong. Right.
Yeah.
So experimenting and playing and feeling is part of that learning process, and you've got to do that.
Yeah, I feel that there's a saying that for each progress, you need to unlearn what you have learned.
Yeah. The way your movement patterns are created in your body, your mind, your brain sends signals. They're just electrical impulses through your nervous system to your muscles. There's a pathway there, and that's a set pathway that delivers a certain movement pattern. And that pathway has been formed through many movements and many times, and you have to readjust it. That pathway has to change, so the signals fire the muscles in a different way, then you get a different movement. And it doesn't always work every time, because that other pathway is more worn and more conducive to the electrical signals flowing smoothly through them. Okay, so that's actually what we're really trying to do, is we may in our brain understand that movement pattern, but we're trying to rewire how we send the signals to our muscles to get the movements that we want. And it takes time.
Yeah, that's another interesting topic. So we talk about Eileen Gu. She got her gold medal with a new activities that she never did it before. She said that she trained herself in the brain. She just left turn 1620 degrees. It's a freestyle skier, and the big air. And so we had a discussion. She said it's a vision, just visualize the movement and train your brain and your neural system, your muscle to do that. So she did it a lot of time in her brain, but she never tried it. But in her Olympic competition, the last jump, she did it successfully, first time in her life, by simply just visualize it. So that's really interesting, and a lot of people, that remind you what you've been shared before about visualize your movement and imagine yourself on the chairlift and watch yourself and what do you want to perform, what kind of image you want to live.
Right. Yeah. And so when you watch this video, sometimes you shut your eyes and this can be part of your warm-up in the morning too, for 5 or 10 minutes, and just go, okay, and move your body and going, okay, that's how I want to move. Right. So that's part of preparation as well. right, for what's on the snow. That's part of warming up your brain and helping you achieve it. We're not Eileen Gu. All of us are not Eileen Gu, right? She's a special athlete. But if we take some of these learnings from her and from others, that will help us for sure.
Okay, so I think we've been holding you for so long, and thank you so much, Otto, for your for the illustration. I couldn't see questions from floor, but whoever have questions, you can just raise it up in the WeChat group, and we will see how to address it. And the next week we will be moved to the North American friendly time slots, and still going on for our video analysis and also promote our ski camp. And for whoever feel benefit, and please feel free to invite your friends to join our WeChat group so that we can join our hands to move this forward.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thanks for the videos. Good skiing. I hope that helped. And hopefully we'll see you next week.
Okay. Thank you, Otto. And
Thank you.
thank you, everyone. Bye.
Right. Bye.